How's it going, everybody?
You know who it is.
My name is Sun Wu, and in today's video we are going to check out the Elysia Envelope 500, which is a transient designer, and that means it can really help you shape the sound of your drums by adjusting the attack and the sustain phase and balancing them properly, but it also works on other percussive sounds like pianos or plucked strings, for example. So before we get into the details, let's check out how it sounds. Alright, so first let's play the dry drum groove. And now we engage the envelope. As you can hear, the sustain is a lot more significant now. I can turn it up even further. And the attack part is a little bit reduced, so the initial transient, let's reduce it further. And all of this is gain matched right now because I've got the auto gain on. If I turn this off, it sounds like this. So because our initial transient is reduced now, the loudest part of the drum, if I've got the auto gain on, it's gonna sound louder because everything else has been pushed up. So now let's do it the other way. Let's turn up the attack as we are turning the sustain down. This is the normal sound. If I bypass this, it should sound the same as the original. And now let's turn up the attack and sustain down. You can hear that now we've got a very defined transient while there's almost no sustain, so all the room is gone out of the drum loop. And of course, anything in between. Let's turn both of them up a little. So you can see that a simple drum groove can sound very different depending on the settings. You can take all of the room away or give it a lot of room by turning up the sustain, and you can make it more snappy or less snappy with the attack parameter. So right now this unit is in full range mode. There are different modes in here. The full range mode, which we're in now, that works on the complete frequency range with this attack and sustain parameter. We can change the behavior of it, how much it responds to bass frequencies with this knob, which right now it doesn't seem to do too much. This knob in full range mode doesn't do anything, but as we are switching to dual band mode, so let's check this out. I'm going to turn the attack to neutral and turn up the sustain. So now this knob down here controls the end frequency of the sustain parameter, and you'll probably notice what's going to happen if I turn this up to a higher frequency. Now we have more higher frequency content in our sustain phase that we have increased. And of course, if we turn it down, we're kind of filtering or EQing out these high frequencies from the sustain. So we are creating a darker sounding room. Pretty cool. Let's turn the sustain to neutral again. And now let's have a look at the attack portion. So let's turn up the attack. And the frequency A knob controls the start frequency of the attack portion that's being increased or decreased. So if I turn it all the way down, it will include all frequencies, so from the lowest to the highest, that are being increased by the attack parameter. And as I turn it up, I am excluding the lower frequencies. So right now it would be everything below 50 Hertz would be excluded, and so on. So now you can hear that a lot of the bass frequencies are not being increased anymore by the attack parameter because I've excluded them. Only the highest frequencies of my transient are now being boosted. And if I turn it down again, we will include the bass frequencies. So this dual mode is, I guess, a little more shapeable in what exactly you want, while the full range mode is very easy and quick to set. Attack, sustain, and then the response to the bass. Okay, now let's play some other loops and see how the envelope reacts to different source material. This is the dry loop. As you can hear, this loop contains a lot more sustained sounds. So let's turn the envelope on and reduce the sustain. You can hear a lot of the hi-hats are now being cut off. Of course, this is a very extreme setting, but it shows you how effective the envelope is. Now let's turn the envelope into dual band mode, which means that with the sustain frequency, I can now exclude some of the frequencies from this reduced sustain. So now, because it's turned all the way up, I'm including all the frequencies, so from the lowest to the highest. But as I turn it counterclockwise, I will exclude the higher frequencies from this processing. So you will hear the very high frequencies will be kept sustained as the lower frequencies are getting reduced. You can see some more higher frequencies are sneaking in there, having a longer sustain. And as we turn it down further, more and more frequencies are being excluded from this reduced sustain. And now basically all frequencies are included in this. So if I now turn the sustain up or down, it doesn't make a difference anymore. Turn this up again and the sustain down. And now let's play with the attack. Attack up. And let's play with the frequencies, so include some lower frequencies or exclude them. And of course, let's bypass it once. And bypass again. So quite drastic what you can do with this. So let's play the next drum loop. The Elysia is basically in neutral mode right now. All right, let's increase sustain. And again, you notice how much of the room sound we can hear now. Pretty intense. Now let's exclude some of the higher frequencies again from this. Okay, and play with the attack. Exclude some of the bass frequencies. And again, listen to the original. And the processed. So anything from extreme to subtle, you can really process the drums how you like and shape them in a very nice and very simple way. Again, let's go extreme. Or cut down on the attack. So now the drums sound really, really muffled with a lot of room sound. Let's reduce the room even further. Turn up the attack. So we can get this really nice and dry drum sound. Again, before and after. So let's say you recorded too much of the room sound in your drum recording, you can easily take it away and make the drums more snappy and maybe add a reverb on top of it later on. And so far you've only seen me use the left side of the knobs, and that's because this is a stereo unit, so using the left knobs I can affect both the left and the right audio signal. I can also use this as a dual mono unit by pressing this, and now I can affect channel 1 and channel 2 differently and separately, so that's pretty cool. And the Envelope has another trick up its sleeve, and that is the equalizer mode. So now it functions as a 2-band equalizer, high shelf and low shelf, and this can also be used in stereo mode. So let's turn this to neutral and play our drum loop again. And now we can increase the low shelf gain. And we can change the frequency of this. Or decrease the frequency. So now only the real lows are being boosted. Or of course we can cut them. Now we are losing our lows. Let's increase them slightly. Alright, and same here, we've got the high shelf. Let's increase it. Select the frequencies. And of course, again, we can cut it as well. So that's pretty cool to have an EQ integrated if you aren't using it as a transient designer in the moment. And of course, all of this is super high quality. So this is a 500 rack unit, and this can definitely be used for mastering or just processing your audio signals. And I would say this can be used by amateurs and professionals alike. This is really high quality. These are being produced in Germany, and I think for not being produced in China, it's still a very, very reasonable price and is definitely something you should look into. Elysia is making other great devices like compressors, EQs, and channel strips as well. So if you are looking for high quality stuff for good price that is also produced in a factory where people really care about their products, definitely check out Elysia. And the founder of Elysia, you can see him here, Ruben Tilgner. He, I believe, is actually the inventor of the original transient shaper. And they told me that this is basically the final version of the transient shaper. So if you want to have the highest evolution of any hardware transient shaper, definitely check out the Envelope. It's a great unit, I think. And even if you're not mastering and just using this on your drum bus, for example, this can give you a lot of options for shaping your sounds and just giving your drums a little something extra. And I think especially working with drum loops, drum breaks, it's really cool to get them to sound the way you want them to sound while retaining their original flavor. And furthermore, from a review standpoint, all these knobs feel really good and high quality. I guess these are made from aluminium, have a slight texture to them. These two here, or these four rather, have a center detent and the rest is smooth, while these here are clicky encoders to really dial in the right frequency that you want. The buttons here also all feel really good and are very responsive. This unit right here, as I said, is a 500 series rack unit. So normally you would have this in a rack with other devices, but Elysia also provides this cube right here, which means that you can use one of these 500 units on its own. So it's a standalone unit. You don't need to buy a complete rack in order to make this work. And it's pretty nice. You can also fit their other 500 series units in there, like the compressors and the EQs and such. And I would like to test those out in future too. Definitely this unit, to my ears, sounds really great, and even for a beginner is usable because there are not a lot of parameters that you have to turn in order to get an effect out of it, in order to notice what's happening to your drums. So as opposed to maybe using compressors for your drums, you don't have to adjust many parameters at once in order to get to your desired result. On this one, you can just turn one parameter like the attack parameter and you immediately hear, oh yes, it is turning my effect. You can turn up the sustain and you will immediately hear, yes, it is affecting my sustain. So that's pretty cool. There's nothing complicated about this and you can immediately get started affecting your drums. But while I'm saying this, I noticed we haven't used it on anything else than drums. So let's play a little guitar loop and see what it does to that. Turn off EQ mode. And turn it on. Pretty cool. You can hear the pick of the guitar gets a lot more intense as the attack is all the way up. Let's turn down the attack. And the picking almost goes away completely. And let's turn up the sustain. What happens if we turn both of them up? Also sounds odd. Let's turn it to dual band mode and play with the frequencies a little. So I am going to exclude the high frequencies from the sustain. and excluding the low frequencies from the increased transient. And again, let's bypass it. So you can see it works on other material than just drums, although primarily this of course is made and perfect for drums. If you want to check it out, go to Elysia. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I would appreciate a like. Comment down below, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to ring the bell. Hope to see you in the next one. Until then, have a wonderful time. Peace.